This is Professor Michael Chapman. I'm one of the most experienced IVF doctors in Australia. I believe that an important part that I can contribute is to educate patients in relation to fertility, infertility, and all that involves. These series of podcasts help to educate you. I hope they are helpful to you. If you wish to know more, however, I'm more than happy to have you contact me via email, which is profmchapman@gmail.com, or make an appointment to see me on 9138 4222.
You've been in this field for decades. What breakthrough has amazed you the most?
I think, when I started, if a man had a poor sperm count, not even absent sperm, but a poor sperm count, there was really nowhere to go other than donor. In 1992, the first publication came out of the technique of sperm injection, intracytoplasmic sperm injection. And that changed the world for men with low sperm counts, and in particular, the men who, for reasons like blocked vas deferens or particular syndromes where there are only small amounts of sperm being produced in the testicle, but they weren't getting out. So they had no sperm. They appeared to have no sperm at all. So we can actually now dissect the testicle under a microscope and actually find, it may only be 10 sperm. They would never have got pregnant in the past, who would now produce a pregnancy going forward. So that I think is probably the single biggest move forward. Overall, there's just been a general slow movement forward in success rates. When I started in my first year of IVF back in 1985, 86, if we got a 10% pregnancy rate, and that was putting 2 embryos back, if we got a 10% pregnancy rate, we thought we were great. When you compare that, for instance, the first 100 cycles ever done in the world produced 2 pregnancies. So, we got to 10% by 1985, and we get to 2025, and we're talking about 40% with 1 embryo going back. So, quadruple of success rates. And that to some extent is why IVF has become so widespread, that it works if you're persistent. And those stats I was talking about is one embryo transfer. I suppose the next big thing was the learning how to freeze embryos in a way that made them as good as a fresh embryo when we go to transfer them. And that was probably 15 to 20 years ago now, the process called vitrification. And that's had a big impact. In fact, looking at the recent data released by ANZARD, which is the national database for Australia, frozen embryos are now producing more pregnancies and a higher success rate than a fresh transfer. So more and more patients are moving to frozen cycles rather than fresh.
Prof, is there like a world body that oversees the ethical and procedural aspects of IVF, and how does that?
No, there is no worldwide body. In fact, not even in Australia do we have uniformity in regulations, although at the moment the federal ministers of health back in the end of June have got together because of some incidents that happened in the IVF world and been in the media, tried to put together or try to get some uniformity across the states. But in fact, the legislation relating to IVF is a state-based system. It's one of the areas that states have control of. And to get Victoria to agree with New South Wales, to agree with Queensland, to agree with Western Australia, is virtually impossible because everybody has their own ideas. But we'll wait and see. So if it can't happen in Australia, it's highly unlikely it's going to happen around the world. So no, there are no worldwide standards. The International Fertility Society, Federation of Fertility Societies, does a surveillance survey every 3 years of clinics, societies around the world, and they publish that data, and you can see the diversity right across the world. things that are appropriate in one country will not be appropriate in others. And there are lots of reasons for that. Some of them is religious, and some of them is just political. Individuals who have a axe to grind to say one thing or another.
And don't forget that you can access all the previous episodes by going to our website www.theivfjourney.com and select IVF Journey podcast from the navigation menu.